All right, we are live, back in action, attacking your speakers from the field to the bleachers. This is Power 32 Podcast, ready to rock and roll. My main man, Mr. Primetime 313. How we feeling today, sir?
What up, though? Hey, man, how's everybody doing? It's starting to get a little bit here in the Motor City and up in the mitten. As you can tell,
yeah.
I got the Michigan hoodie on. It's starting to be that time of year where it's getting a little crisp outside with 45-mile-an-hour winds and
God,
rain and stuff. It's definitely fall up here in Michigan.
I don't miss that not one bit. I've told you that
Yeah,
many times.
do.
That's fine here. I'm not wearing this winter hat because it's cold. I just want to rep my Niners today. That's all. Proud of them. 5-2.
Man.
5-2 San Francisco. Who would have thought? But Vegas, they are good, man. You know, they had San Fran at 10.5 wins, and people are like, what? They ain't gonna win that many games, and they're well on their way to that many right now.
Well, yeah, yours truly, especially. I kind of remember that show we all did together when I was telling McNiner there was absolutely no way they would win more than 6 or 7 games, and hell, we're 7 games into the season, and they're 5-2. So I might have to be door dashing him a steak dinner. McNiner, if you're out there.
Yeah. All right, guys. I am the Sports Prophet, ready for another hour of power, and then a few more minutes to lay down to that NFL fantasy football talk. We appreciate you guys in the chat as always. Make the show go and flow even better than before, baby. So let's keep it going with tradition. You ready for what we always do to start our show, Mr. Primetime?
Let's do it. Trivia action. Let's see. I need to redeem myself from last week. As you so eloquently stated, I talked myself out of the correct answer last week.
Did.
And I've done that a couple times, man.
You had it, man. And then you just talked yourself right out of it. So I give you like partial credit on that one.
Right.
Let's see if you can get this one. I'm going to go to one of your two teams over here. Which New York Giant wide receiver has the most reception yards in team history? Which New York Giant wide receiver has the most receiving yards in team history?
And why do I not know this like right off the top of my head? This is like one of the most basic questions that you can ask any fan of any team.
Well, they had quite a few pretty, good players on there, but some longer than others. Some made a big impact.
I mean, I can go back to like, I don't know, Don Meredith or Amani Toomer. I can go back that far. Mark Plaxico. You say in single season or in team history?
Team history. So most receiving yards from one player in
Christ,
team history.
This is embarrassing.
No, it's not embarrassing. I wouldn't say that. It's not an easy question. I mean, you got.
It's not. I mean, when you think of like the Giants, you don't think of like explosive wide receivers. They've had some names, but it's not like they got guys that are.
That's why maybe longevity is the key over here.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say probably the obvious answer.
Let's see, you have it, folks.
I'm gonna say the guy repping the school that I'm wearing right now. I'm gonna say Amani Toomer.
That a boy, man. Way to go. I thought you were going to talk yourself out of it again, man.
Yeah,
he is the clear leader.
Now that I think about it, he is. Yeah, it's not even close.
9,497 yards he's got with the New York Giants. So Amani, it's not a Toomer, is the right answer. Well done.
I'm back on the right side of the ledger, baby.
There you go. I knew it was a question that you could get. But I'm like, well, there's some other candidates out there, and he's good at talking himself out of shit, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of my thing here.
Oh, man. Well, the Jets can't talk themselves out of anything. They are the worst team, maybe in football history. I mean, when you talk about the shit hitting the fan, it's hitting the fan in every room that the Jets own right now. All their condos, all their freaking homes. Shit hitting the fan all over the place. Jets are so bad, I can't believe it. And if you remember the beginning of the year, I was like, oh yeah, the Jets, they're gonna be a team that you don't want to play every weekend. Now they're the team you do want to play every weekend. They're that bad. They scored 6 points against the Carolina Panthers at home. Explain that to me.
I can't.
Oh,
This is something that you and I know during the at the beginning of the season you were kind of like, yeah, the Jets can win a few games, but over the weeks you kind of came back down to earth a little bit, so you're not exclusively on the hook for being on the bandwagon of the Jets. But I think, like we talked about before, man, I think the biggest concern that I have, we kind of knew their offense would have some inconsistencies, but I think the biggest thing to me, man, is the defense. And we've talked
oh
about
yeah.
it time and time again. I cannot believe that a guy like Aaron Glenn, who came in with such a reputation for being a good defensive coordinator, has actually been this bad. And the Jets aren't overly horrible on defense, but you would expect better. We knew that the offense was going to be up and down. We did expect more from Brees Hall. We did expect more from Garrett Wilson. But now you're talking to the point where they're just so inept right now. You're giving up
Yeah.
like 26 points a game, and you can't win in this league when you're giving up that many points unless
No,
you have the offense to back it up. So I
and
kind of
they
feel
don't.
I feel for Aaron Glenn a little bit, especially when you look at the success that the Bears are having. His counterpart, with the Detroit Lions, the offensive coordinator of the Lions, what they're doing with the Bears, who've won 4 in a row. But I do kind of feel for Aaron Glenn a little bit. I don't think he thought that it was going to be this bad at 0-7, and I predicted them to win like 5 games. I might have to backpedal on that and see.
Oh yeah.
They might end up going 0-17. That's how bad this team is.
Could be the first time in league history a team goes 0-17. We had some 0-16 runs, your Lions, unfortunately, Cleveland Browns. But I wonder how much of Aaron Glenn getting Justin Fields was his input. I really don't know how much that Aaron Glenn actually wanted Justin Fields. So again, they're not going to fire him after this year, but they definitely need to address the quarterback position because they are not scoring points, my friend. They just are not getting it done. So the Jets, they got a lot of things to figure out. Just like Miami in that division, I said that Mike McDaniel would get fired if he lost to the Cleveland Browns. Not only did they lose, they got cremated by the Cleveland Browns, 31-6 with a rookie quarterback, Dylan Gabriel. Still got his job, maybe for another week. I don't know, Prime, but the Dolphins, they're just as embarrassing as the New York Jets.
Yeah, they're only averaging about 20 points a game. The Jets are averaging about 18 points a game, and their defenses are giving up, like I say, over 25 points a game apiece. So when you start looking at stats like that, you start looking at the inconsistencies. Miami, I think I'd be more disappointed, and I'm more surprised that Miami is playing as bad as they are, considering they do have weapons. They do have, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They do have a good running game, a decent offensive line. Their defense isn't really anything to write home about, but just the fact that they're playing so bad right now. There's some bad football. We got some really good teams in the NFL right now that, surprise, like the Colts and such. But we also got some really, really bad football teams right now.
Sure
and the
do.
Jets and the Dolphins just happen to be in the same division. And fortunately for the Bills and Patriots, they get to play those guys again. So, they get to pad their stats a little bit, when it comes to, the overall, team offensive stats, team defensive stats, because you're playing against two, and like I say, the Jets are on the verge of being like historically bad. We talked about this last week, and I don't know, Prophet. This is not what I expected. I expected this from the Jets, but I did not expect this really from the Miami Dolphins, at least again on the offensive side of the ball, when you do have some semblance of talent on that side of the football.
Well, I wonder if Tua is going to take another snap for Miami. They got, Quinn Ewers and somebody else back there waiting or whatever. I mean, honestly, I don't know. He has been that bad. 6 picks over the past 2 games. He is having a really, really hard time. And the Chargers are having a hard time, maybe because of those freaking mustard, ugly uniforms they wore over the weekend. I don't know why you would want to display that. It's like, look at these great new uniforms they have. I mean, from head to toe, yellow. Oh, it's just freaking disgusting, man. How do you expect to win a game when you look like that? Just really garbage right there. And I did look. I was watching the Giants football game. That is a heartbreaker, a killer. How you lost. It really is. But, just kind of knowing that the Giants really aren't going anywhere this year, and you got Jackson Dart, you got a quarterback, you got a number 1 receiver in Malik Neighbors. When he gets back, it'll be next year at this point, obviously. but they can now build around this guy and be a legitimate football team because he's on a rookie contract, Jackson Dart. He's not going to get paid real money for another 3 or 4 years. So you can bring guys in, kind of solidify that defense a little more. And I'm not saying that Jackson Dart is going to be some, all-pro quarterback right now, but the Giants are positioned really well.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern right now with the Giants is that they're giving up a lot. They're giving up a lot of points. They're good against the run, but they're still giving up. It's in the NFL, unfortunately, Prophet. And you've been doing this, a long time. It's about statistics. And right now, if you're in a position where you're giving up 25 points a game, and you're only, you're not even coming close to scoring that many points. I think they're somewhere, as I'm looking this up, you're scoring like 21 points a game and you're giving up 25, 26 points a game. Just the math alone that's not conducive to you being a good football team. However, you did mention the fact that they are at least watchable now. And I think that's one of the key things. They're averaging, the running game is there about 125 yards a game. They're at least watchable. Jackson Dart makes it a little bit exciting. Scatterbo makes it a little bit exciting. But my biggest concern is that a defense that we thought would be a little bit better than they are, it's, giving up 25 points in the NFL, that's a lot. But we do have a little bit of future. Andrew Thomas, he's kind of like a building block on the offensive line. Like you say, Neighbors and such. So we get a couple more guys here and there, and we could potentially, as Philly continues to decline, Dallas is always a wild card, so there's a chance maybe the next year or two that we can actually start competing for the division.
Yeah, well, the Giants need to get defense that won't give up 33 points in one quarter. I mean, that's miserable. Horrible. One of the worst losses I've seen in a long time, and there have been quite a few that are up there. Like the Houston Oilers with the Buffalo Bills back in the day. This ain't quite that, but when Peyton Manning and those guys, when he was with the Colts, came back against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that Monday Night Football game, they were down, I think, 19 points in the fourth quarter, 20 points, something like that. So it is rare, but it does happen. And, I feel sorry for you about that one. Talking about your team, talking about my team right now, my 49ers, baby. Dude, repping the hat. I got my jersey back there. You got to admit, this is one of the better coached teams in the NFL. I mean, between Kyle Shanahan on offense and Robert Saleh on defense, they are making it happen with a totally busted up lineup. Players that people don't even know, have no idea even existed in the entire world. And they're making it work at 5-2 and very much in the hunt to win the NFC West based on what they've done so far, which is beat the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. They've already got that done.
Yeah, I guess there's going to have to be a point sometime this year where I'm going to have to kind of give credit to Kyle Shanahan, even though I kind of, I'm one of the people that kind of rip him the most because he hasn't won the big one. But I will say this when it comes to his ability to do the most with the least, especially when it comes to the most important position on the field, which is quarterback. You mentioned this last week that they initially wanted Mac Jones, coming out of the draft.
Right.
They wanted Mac Jones. So the fact that Mac Jones is playing at the level that he's playing is, not 100% surprising. But I will say this, this is where I go back to my Brock Purdy hate, is that if Kyle Shanahan's able to just kind of plug and play guys in there, although it didn't work with Trey Lance and it didn't work with your guy, I'm going to say it, Mr. Jimmy G. I did it. I did it again. But you got to give the guy credit. He's a really good coach when it comes to quarterbacks. And right now, even with, Fred Warner, they had a couple big injuries on defense. Their receiving core has been absolutely decimated with injuries.
Yeah, man.
And here they are sitting at 5-2. So props to Kyle Shanahan.
No doubt. You got to give it up to them right now. To me, leading, candidate for Coach of the Year right now with what they have and what he's been able to do. No doubt about it. To go through a couple of things real quick. What do you make real quick of the 4-2 Steelers? I mean, they lost a game that they probably should have won. A lot of points scored in that Cincinnati Thursday night game. The Bengals with Joe Flacco. Look, give them good wide receivers and look what can get done. I mean, really. But Pittsburgh, they were one of those teams like, all right, yeah, they're 4-1, but how good of a 4-1 team are they? And then they go ahead and the defense shits the bed against the Bengals.
Well, the reason I'm smiling so much is because in our fantasy league, Josh Allen was my starting quarterback. I had a bye this week, so I'm looking on the block, add a player, and there he sits. The quarterback that I hate more than any player in the National Football League is Aaron Rodgers. So I say, you know what? For shits and giggles, let's do it. And that bitch gave me 32 points, and him and Quinshon Judkins carried me to a victory in week 7 of our fantasy league, as I now sit atop at 5-2. But getting to your point about smoke and mirrors, I think that's the ultimate analogy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense is decent, but I think Aaron Rodgers is too up and down. Aaron Rodgers has been pretty up and down this year. You know, he's had games where you're like, okay, they hold Aaron Rodgers back. Then he's had games where it's like, that's kind of the Aaron Rodgers you expected. I'm not 100% sold on this team, but the only thing they have going for them, Prophet, is that Cincinnati's bad, Cleveland's bad, and the Ravens are absolutely atrocious right now. So Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, there's that probably 75% possibility that he keeps his streak going.
Yeah, and 75% luck. A lot of luck in there right now with how bad the teams are playing. Really, no joke. No freaking joke. All right. Yeah, there was a couple other things that I was going to mention real fast, but, the Chiefs being back right now and the way that they've been playing lately, do you think that they're once again the best team in the AFC and should represent the AFC in the Super Bowl?
Here, let me give you your props, first of all. You're like one of the biggest Rashee Rice fans I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Since the guy's been in the league for this is third year now.
I called that from the first game that he played going back, 3 years ago, whatever it was. I'm like, holy shit, that dude is awesome.
Yeah, and but they won what, 3 in a row now?
I think so.
I think 2, 3 in a row, and Patrick Mahomes is actually playing at a MVP level. They're taking shots downfield. Their offensive line is doing what they got to do to protect him, which is giving him the opportunities to throw downfield. He's starting to look like the Patrick Mahomes of like 4 years ago. Before they had this little 2-3 year struggle on offense. He's starting to look like the old Patrick Mahomes, and I think
he's playing with a chip on his shoulder.
I think he is too. I think there's a lot of people. He's tired of the hate. He's tired of the people saying he's washed up, Kansas City, the dynasty's done, et cetera, et cetera. And I would, to say they're back, you got to look. They're still a 4-3 football team, but with the Chargers faltering, with the Broncos and their inconsistencies, and then the Raiders being totally irrelevant, there's no reason that the Kansas City Chiefs can't win, even though you and I both picked the Chargers to win that division.
Right.
I as I sit here right now, week 7, I gotta, they're playing the best football in that division. So as it sits right now, it would not shock me if they win that division for the 75th year in a row.
Yeah, really, no kidding. Unbelievable. Good stuff. All right, we got a lot more to get to. We got our free fantasy football draft. We have our picks to make, no doubt. Go over some scores from last week. But right now, we are ready for one of my favorite segments because Prime comes up with some great stuff. We got Big Deal or No Deal. Let's hit it up, man.
All right, Big Deal or No Deal, as always, sponsored by absolutely no one. For those of you who are not familiar, this is the segment of the show where I present different scenarios to the Prophet, and Prophet tells us whether it is a big deal or it's a no deal. So starting right off the bat, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go to the Justin Fields situation. Not only are the Jets bad, but they actually benched Justin Fields this week.
Yeah.
The owner came out and had some not so nice things to say about Justin Fields, but in the same breath, he endorsed Aaron Glenn as the coach of the Jets. So is this a big deal or no deal that not only was Justin Fields benched, but then he got the somewhat the unsavory comments from the owner? So does this spell the end of the Justin Fields experiment in New York? Is this a big deal or no deal?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much over in New York. And my question is, where is he going to go next, and what coach can fix him or think that they can fix him? Because, he's been now with the Bears, Pittsburgh, the Jets, and he seems to be getting worse. And this year he has looked so freaking bad. I can't believe it. So it's definitely a big deal. The Jets now have to go ahead and find a quarterback, whether it be in the draft or through free agency, trade, whatever it may be. But they have definitely taken a huge step back from preseason and training camp when they think they had their stuff together and Fields is looking good, but you get into live action and Justin Fields just falling apart. That offensive line is not great, so I do give a little bit of an issue with that. But yeah, I'm definitely worried about it at this point. And Justin Fields, his time in New York is going to be done after this year. Where does he go next is my question. And is he even going to be considered being a starter?
And I mean, if I were to have to answer that question, I'd probably say he doesn't get another shot at being a starter. Even a team that's, potentially desperate for a starting quarterback, I don't think there's any way that Justin Fields ends up being a starter in this league, especially this was supposed to be his second chance, his opportunity to kind of, get that second win and get that second opportunity. And he's not played up to the level, not even close. He's not even a mediocre quarterback, Prophet. He's just bad.
No, it's been bad. Been really bad, my friend, no doubt. So yeah, big deal.
So moving on to number 2, Bo Nix, before the offensive explosion in the fourth quarter against the Giants, up to that point, he was like 11 for 25 for like 105 yards.
Right.
Is it a big deal or no deal that Bo Nix has been so inconsistent and up and down, and it doesn't seem like he's taken that step that you and I thought he would take this year into that maybe top 10, top 12 quarterback? Is this a big deal or no deal that he's so up and down right now, even with Sean Payton as his coach?
I think it's a big deal with Bo Nix. I mean, I know that they're 5-2 right now, but that's been a lot of their defense doing the job, and their running game had been doing well. Now, their running game has fell back a little bit, and Bo Nix, again, with only Evan Ingram, something to throw the ball to. But I do get worried watching him play. I don't see a superstar quarterback that everybody really kind of thought that he was or was going to be and whatever. I don't see that out of him. He's not game-wrecking, making plays. Yeah, he could do a couple of things with his legs. Now, again, this guy's going to be the starter for the Denver Broncos. I'm not calling for him to be benched and somebody else to come in. That's certainly off the table right now. Sean Payton loves this guy, and you got to think that the more he plays, the better he'll get. But like a lot of sophomore quarterbacks, they do take steps back in certain areas, and it's kind of happened for him this year. But again, he's been lucky enough to go 5-2 with great coaching, a great defense, and having some playmakers around him. So let him get the mistakes out now. So by the time we get to the second half of the season, he's playing his best ball.
And I did misspeak earlier about I for some reason I'm thinking they're 4-3, but they are 5-2, sitting atop the AFC West. But they're still not playing, consistent enough football. So like I said earlier, I'll stick to that. I still think the Chiefs probably end up, as it sits right now, they're probably the hottest team in that division, and they'll probably still end up winning. But let's see, moving on to number 3. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-5, as well documented, but Lamar is still hurt allegedly and is not going to play this upcoming week either. How big of it? We talked about the fact that John Harbaugh, unspeakably could potentially be on the hot seat. Is this a big deal or no deal? I know we alluded to it a little bit a week before last week, but is this a big deal or no deal that Lamar Jackson's still not playing? So for the people out there that think that potentially Baltimore can kind of right the ship in the last, 10 games or so, is this a big deal or no deal that Lamar Jackson's still not playing?
I think maybe at this point it's no deal. It's really because of where they are right now. They're 1-5, okay? And what team is going to the playoffs that started at 1-5? I mean, nobody. Not happening. And maybe it happened a couple of times in history, but I really have no idea. As you say, what's up to David McKnight are in the house. And that those Baltimore Ravens, look, giving up way too many points on defense, so you worry about that. But whether Lamar comes back or not, they're not going anywhere. Not this year. They are way too banged up. It's not just him who's injured. They have too many problems all over the place. So am I worried about Lamar and John Harbaugh's future? Not really. This is just one of those years where everything happened to go wrong. You got all the injuries, all right? Your starting quarterback is out. You're putting Cooper Rush. Again, I don't even know what the hell he's doing there. But he's the backup quarterback. Beats the hell out of me. Not like John Harbaugh forget how to coach all of a sudden. But no. So again, I don't. It's not the hugest deal in the world for now. This season is basically done. It's a wash. They'll come back next year really strong.
But okay, and let's play a quick little game here. So John Harbaugh, who hasn't won the big one in a decade,
Yeah.
um, it seems like, and this has been kind of one of the criticisms of him over the years, is that he can win if the situation is perfect. Their defense is there, Lamar's playing at MVP level, etc. The running game is there, blah blah blah. This year would be one of the ultimate. Okay, I can really show my coaching chops and show everybody what I can do. And I use the analogy or the comparison to the team that you're wearing on your head right now. You know, Kyle Shanahan, you know, outside of last year, Kyle Shanahan has been a pretty, you know, he's been able to do the damn thing in San Francisco with multiple quarterbacks. Brock Purdy goes out, your $50 million guy. No big deal. We'll bring in Mac Jones and we'll still, you know, now we're even better than we were last year. So I'm not comparing the two from a coaching standpoint, but from I'm able to do more with less. My superstar or my starting quarterback or whatever, however you want to categorize Brock Purdy, is out of the picture. My backup quarterback comes in and we continue to just do what we do. And John Harbaugh, being the great coach that he is, just doesn't, you know, it's confirming what everybody says, in my opinion, that, yeah, he can win, but he can win if the situations, if everything just lines up perfectly. This would have been a perfect season for him to be that prove-it coach that, hey, we're the Baltimore Ravens. We're still going to win. Yeah, our defense is bad. Our offense isn't consistent, or our quarterback's out. I'm sorry, their offense hasn't played that bad. But what do you think about that?
You know, it's very hard because now with that Lamar Jackson, you have to change your entire offensive dynamic game plan completely around. You have no more running the quarterback. You take the RPOs completely out. So now you got Cooper Rush under center a little bit more, trying to do maybe more play action, which could be a good thing, but the running game has to get going. And when teams are not afraid of Cooper Rush, they're going to put 7, 8 guys in the box and make sure Derrick Henry doesn't beat him. It's a simple formula, and it's working against the Baltimore lose Ravens because they, again, I'm going to keep saying that. They got to figure it out right now. They had a week to try to get healthy. Let's see what they can do. Lamar, I heard, may come back, but it looks like maybe not. Like, you know, why rush him at this point? Again, they're 1-5. Don't rush it. But they're going to Cooper Rush it, all right? So let him go play.
Man, you're just full of the puns and stuff. That way to go, Prophet. But
yeah, once in a while I'm on my game. So yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to have to go out with him and try to win ball games, and it's going to be really ugly, my brother.
All right, and so this is a two-parter. This is, you can probably, you know, you can be as brief or as long as you want. The Lions dominate the Bucs last night with 4 brand new defensive backs, and I don't know if you watched that game. Those guys played their asses off. And
they did, man.
I understand Abuka wasn't healthy. Evans went out again after that one pass, but those 4, Hamlet, Mullet, Harper, and Whiteside, played their asses off last night. And you know, those guys probably played for, you know, they were alluding to it last night, probably played for jobs on other teams. Is that a big deal or no deal that the Bucs were that inept and that the Lions defense was that good? And number 2, this is an interesting one that I just thought of, you know, I just came up with and discovered today. It appears that the Raiders are shopping Max Crosby. So have they already thrown in the towel on this season? Is that a big deal or no deal?
Yeah, regarding Max Crosby, I put up on Twitter a few days ago, maybe a week ago, players who would get traded, and I think that his name came up, maybe going to the Buffalo Bills. I forgot which team it was, but it would be a team like that. Max Crosby, the Raiders should trade him and try to get as much as they can. Maybe they can get a first-round pick. That's possible. If they can, maybe they want to go ahead and do that because they're not winning with him. It's like a Trey Hendrickson situation in Cincinnati. They're not winning with him, so why not try to go do something a little bit more? Regarding the Bucs, they got a lot of injuries, man. I mean, it's not just Evans and Ibuka. It's Chris Godwin, all right? And it's Bucky Irving, who is one of the top backs in the game right now. Rashad White is no slouch, but Bucky Irving does a little more. And when they both are playing together, they have fresher legs. So I am a little worried about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. They need to get healthy because that defense is really good. And Levante David went down last night. I love guys like Vita Vea. They can all really play, but if they're on the field for too long and the Bucks are going 3 and out the way they were last night, and yeah, the Lions dominated that game. I don't know how they didn't score more points. I took the over in that game. I took Detroit in the over. I don't know how more points weren't scored because they were killing them. I mean, it was just a one-sided, lopsided game. It really was. So Tampa's got some work to do, but I'm not freaking out. They just need to get healthy and keep their head above water until they get all their guys back.
Well, and I agree with you 100%. I also, the division that they play in, even though, Atlanta was heating up a little bit, I still think that, they have the luxury of having a couple bad games because of the division that they play in. My concern with the Bucks, and I'm watching that game last night. Okay, so you're basically out your 3 top receivers because 2 of them played, but they weren't healthy, and then Godwin wasn't there. But the Lions are playing with guys that worked at my plant like a week ago. So it kind of, it was a little, but you can attribute, it's easier for guys to get up on defense, and hyped up and this and that and the other. They were playing on strictly adrenaline. Plus, they were at home. So, I wouldn't probably read too much in that. But the Max Crosby thing kind of concerns me a little bit because you already pay him, what, 38 million bucks, something like that?
Yeah.
So if you're going to trade him, why didn't you do it during the offseason when you had teams because now not only you got to trade him, but you got to trade him to somebody that's going to eat that $38 million salary for the next, what he signed, I think a 3-year deal. So that's going to it's going to be difficult because, unless you're a team like Dallas, who's going to take the money they were going to pay Micah Parsons and probably pay Max Crosby.
Yeah, look, they brought in Pete Carroll to go ahead and work with Geno Smith again. So obviously they did not think they were going to be in this position. They thought they were going to be a better team, drafting Ashton Genty and having a guy like Max Crosby on defense to do a lot of that dirty work. But no, it just hasn't worked out that way. It really hasn't. It's been really unfortunate for the Raiders, but it's the same old thing. They're just usually not coached well. Bad management. They don't bring in the right guys. If Jacoby Myers is your number 1 wide receiver, you're not going to do well. Brock Bowers being out, that doesn't help anything at all. That really hurts the team. So there's a lot that goes into it. And we got a lot going on right now in the chat. I see a little trade action over here from Jason Ortiz. Should I drop Ayuk and Fanning? He's got Tyler Warren and Ayamanyar from Tennessee for Trez, Spears, Monangai, Brashard, and Smith. That is a big, giant trade right there. Wow. Dropping Ayuk, he might come back in a couple of weeks, and the 49ers really need help at wide receiver. You got Tyler Warren. That's great. That kid from Tennessee, he's pretty good, but they don't score a lot of points. I would keep with what you got, Prime. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I because when Ayuk comes back, he's going to get the Rashee Rice treatment. They're going to target the hell out of him because they're, kind of out of necessity. But even though they've had some, pretty good play from some of their non-superstars, their non-big contract guys on wide, in the receiving core. So yeah, I'd kind of just stick with where I'm at right now. Maybe in a couple weeks if things don't pan out or if Ayuk ends up staying out longer than maybe anticipated, I'd probably make that move. But right now, I'd probably just stay put.
Man, I was asking if you should drop Nick Chubb and Cooper Kupp for Trez, Mooney, Coleman, Monangai, and Brashard. So all these names coming up again.
Wow.
Nick Chubb isn't doing a lot. Kupp's not doing a lot. But these other guys really aren't doing a lot either, man. I don't know. Maybe Chubb has a couple of really good games for you, but I'm not really sure about this one. And then he asked if he should drop Mixon and Evans. Might be back for the fantasy playoffs. He's got Henry and Tracy going back to Smith. Prime, don't get rid of these guys. I mean, if you have an injury reserve spot, then keep them there and keep other players. But if they're taking up spot on your roster, then we got a problem there. Then you might want to think about going to the waiver wire and doing something.
Well, and I'm looking at looks like he's got Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon on the from those are both Houston Texans if I recall.
Yeah.
So to have both running backs on the same team, one of them's neither one of them are performing well. I don't know. I'm at the point right now where I was last week, I was kind of frustrated, and the week before with a couple performances, but I ended up sticking to my guns, and a couple of guys came through for me that I anticipated cutting or moving on from. So right now, these next couple weeks, I know they're important, but unless you're absolutely sure that you're not going to get, you got to do things like look at the schedule, look at who they got coming up. But yeah, you're looking to make some big trades here. You're looking to make some big moves. So I'm interested to see, Jason, where you're at as far as record wise because that also is going to factor into whether or not you're making these moves. So what's up, Evo? But yeah, Jason, let us know where you're at record wise, and then maybe we can kind of shine a little bit more light on on what you should be doing with some of these guys, because you're looking to make some big moves.
Yep, no doubt. As we bring in Steve-O, what's up?
Steve-O.
Levi was loud. 49ers place is loud, baby. Taking on Atlanta, taking them down. Ooh, man, I love it. That defense only giving up 10 points to Bijan Robinson and the boys. Held them. Oh, they held them up, man. You got to love it. Well, you don't love it, but I love it. I'm a 49er fan, so I love the hell out of it. All right, so that was big deal, no deal. And we're going to move into our picks now. And so I was up, David was up 2-1 in the picks challenge, and now he's up 3-1 because I went 10-5 and he went 11-4. So we both had good weeks, but you beat me by one game. So well done, right there.
Yes, sir.
Well done.
I think Vegas will be calling both of us pretty soon. I think our overall record for the season is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I expect it to keep getting better, get some of maybe only 2 or 3 loss, wins in there, and that'll help our pocket too as we go ahead and make our bets. But let's make some picks right now before we get to the fantasy football draft. And we're going to start with Thursday Night Football. Carson Wentz still the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. They're taking on those honey mustard LA Chargers.
He said honey mustard. I happen to love honey mustard, by the way.
Hey, then go ahead and take a bite out of the Chargers uniform. Go ahead and bite the Chargers uniform, man. I swear it is just a nightmare, those things. I can't believe they wore them. But yeah, they're hosting. They're 4-3. Minnesota's 3-3. What do you think about this game?
I can't bet with the Minnesota Vikings. What I am concerned about is that we talked a few weeks ago. You and I were mentioning the fact that how much of a concern, or how long would the Vikings go with a backup quarterback? Is McCarthy still legitimately hurt, or are they just at the point right now where they'd rather go with Carson Wentz? Either way it goes,
good question.
I can't see the Chargers losing this game right now. I know Harbaugh was probably in that locker room, and he probably is during this week, really hammering the guys on discipline and defense and making plays, something which they've kind of been lacking over the last couple of weeks. Where's their running game that was so prevalent, in the first few weeks of the season? I think they've gotten away from that. I think Justin Herbert needs to step up, and I think this is the perfect game to do it. Got the Vikings at home, -3. I will take the honey mustard Chargers in that game.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers too. They need the game. They should be very well coached to win this game. You're right about the running game. It hasn't been there that much. But Justin Herbert, I'm not sold on him being a top-tier quarterback. He's not. He's in that next level, going down, maybe even in a 3A kind of thing, because he just hasn't won the big games yet. And when he's been given the opportunity, he hasn't done it. I'm still waiting to see that. But Minnesota with Carson Wentz, yeah, I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Mason, you got Jordan Addison. He's got playmakers around him, so it is possible they could get the job done. But I think that LA's defense is going to take control of that game more, shut out Jefferson. Addison will have a big game because they're going to concentrate on Jefferson a little bit more. But LA's going to need to score. Oh, man, I'm telling you, Prime, this is a lot closer. You know what? I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to take Minnesota.
And here, let's sidetrack for 1 second. Justin Herbert, I think, threw for over 400 yards this past week. But one team that we haven't discussed, and we will, I'm sure, is we asked the question last week: if the Indianapolis Colts beat the Chargers, would that solidify them as the best team in the NFL? I said last week that they were. Indiana Jones strikes again, man, and they're putting up points. Their defense is doing what they got to do. They just got playmakers all over the place. A couple guys that a lot of people never even heard of. So shout out to Indiana Jones and company. But so you're going with the upset. You're taking the Vikes.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings. I don't like the way the Chargers are playing football right now. They don't look too good to me, my friends. So, yeah, I'm going to go away from that. I'll go with the road team. And, again, the fact that the Chargers are only favored by 3 points is very alarming. I mean, they should be favored by a lot more than that when you think about them playing at home. But only 3. Unless they are at home, the Chargers. Yeah. I'm sick for the Vikings for a minute. But yeah, they're home. All right, next game. Oh boy, Miami Dolphins at 1-6 against the Falcons in Atlanta, who are 3-3, coming off a bad loss. What exactly are the Falcons? You know, they haven't really shocked anybody. They played a few good games this year, and Michael Penix and Bijan Robinson, Drake London. They got firepower. They've been able to rush the quarterback a lot more this year. So the Falcons look like a better team, but still, they're only 3-3. Miami, I know what they are. They're a bunch of garbage. So to me, the Atlanta Falcons are winning this game, and I'm going to lock it in, my friend.
Oh, that's going to be right now the line is 7.5 for that game. I don't know if Miami's even going to, score
they
7.
Stink. Oh.
This like we talked about them earlier, so there's no need to really elaborate too much. Over under is 44.5. They're plus 300 on the money line if you're going that way. I'll take the Falcons and the 7.5, and I'm going to lock this one in as well.
All right.
This is a plus 100 if you're getting it. So you're getting decent value, you're getting even money if you go ahead and do this one. But yeah, I can easily see like a 28-3 type game, 28-10 type game. I can see this really getting out of hand really quickly for the Dolphins. I think they may have given up. If little eyeglass guy there isn't fired this week, this one here next week could possibly put it over the edge, and he could be gone.
Yeah, no doubt. Bad news. So, all right, you and I both on Atlanta on the away team. What about Chicago versus Baltimore with Lamar? Again, I keep hearing that he's going to play and then that he's not going to play, back and forth, left and right. I don't know which way to go, but that makes a huge deal whether he plays or not. So what's the line on the game right now?
Right now it's Baltimore minus 6.5, which tells me that Lamar is going to play. That
Lamar is going to play.
So,
and I don't think that Chicago was a good enough team to go on the road and beat Baltimore, but Baltimore's defense has been really bad. So can Chicago kind of weigh out the scales with that and say, you know what, we're going to go in there and we're going to score 30? But can Baltimore put up 25, 28, 30 points on Chicago? This could be a very high-scoring game, my friend. I may take the over in this one straight up.
Well, it's funny you mention that because the over that I'm looking at is 50.5. That hook is going to get a lot of people. So they're not banking on a lot of defense game. You know, the Chicago Bears have won 4 in a row. We talked about it, and I know I specifically said this at the beginning of the season. It would be around week 6 or 7 when we see the Bears kind of take shape, and that's exactly what's happening. They've won 4 in a row. They are second in the division right now. I think even with Mark coming back, first game back in a couple weeks, I'm not 100% sold on him being the Lamar of old. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what you just did with the Vikes and the Chargers. I'm going to take the Bears to go in there and upset the Baltimore Ravens. Give me the Bears in the 6.5.
That would be an upset, no doubt about it. That 6.5 tells me a lot. You know, they're saying that they kind of want you to bet Baltimore, but that it's going to be a closer game. I do think Baltimore does come out with the win over there. I think Lamar Jackson will be healthy enough to try to be his old self and get Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers involved and get the running game going again. That's how much of a difference he makes. If Cooper Rush for the quarterback in this game, it'd probably be 6.5 points the other way. That's how important it is. That's how much he's worth.
How's that guy still in the league?
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
Him and like Taysom Hill. I don't get it.
Taysom Hill, freaking that guy's a madman. He's insane. Gosh. All right, next up we got Buffalo, who was 4-2 against Carolina, who was 4-3, surprisingly, but they beat Dallas, who has no defense. They beat the Jets, who has no players. Miami, who has no common sense. And they also beat Atlanta, which was a crazy game. They beat them 30-0. So I'm getting a hard read over here on Carolina and what they are as they host the Buffalo Bills this upcoming Sunday, my friend.
Well, here's my thing. I'm going to reinsert Josh Allen back into my starting lineup. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers, for that 1 week wonder.
There you
The
go.
over-under on that one is, I think, 46. And I think Buffalo is favored by 7.5 in that game. That's going to be my second lock. My concern is that Buffalo's had a couple of bad games offensively, and they're not looking. Their offense has become kind of predictable. We talked about that last week. I need Josh Allen to go out there and be Josh Allen. This is a game right here that they need to go. They need this game to keep pace with the first place New England Patriots.
That's right.
5-2. So Buffalo needs this game. They need to make a statement. They're coming off a bye. They've had a little bit of time to rest, blah, blah, blah. So I'm taking them as a lock, and I'm thinking this game is going to get ugly early, hopefully. I'm probably looking at like a 30-10 type game. 30 is,
Oh wow!
This is going to be a double-digit disco for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I am not so sure that Carolina can play with the big boys. I don't want to lock it in because it's on the road. Carolina is able to score, and Buffalo's defense is really it's not good. They're having problems. They need to figure it out. Sean McDermott, you're the head coach, you're a defensive guy. Figure it out. But overall, Buffalo has got the better players. They should go into Carolina and win this game. It's not like they have a long road trip. So I will take Buffalo, but I'm calling for a very close game over here. A lot of points to be scored, something like around a 31-28. So Carolina's getting how many? What's
Carolina's getting 7.5, and the over/under is 46.5 as it sits right now.
I think I might take Carolina, to be honest with you. But I take Buffalo for the win, but Carolina with the points.
Oh, wow.
All right. The Jets don't score any points, and they may not score any even against Cincinnati this week. And Jets 0-7, Bengals 3-4. Flacco, he's like not even cool. He's like the whole cooler. Guy is amazing right now. Just shit that this guy is freaking doing, unbelievable. But you got T. Higgins and you got Jamar Chase. What do you expect? These guys make plays. They just make it happen. So to me, the Bengals definitely win this game. Go 4-4. And find themselves back in the playoff mix a bit. And my God, the Jets going to 0-8. What a disaster. So, yeah, give me Cincinnati. And you know what? I'm going to lock that game. I'm going to lock it. My locks have been pretty good this year. I think I only missed maybe 1 or 2 the entire season. So I'm actually going to lock Cincinnati at home because the Jets just can't get it done.
And that's a 6.5 point spread right there as it sits right now. The over/under, I think, is pretty low. I think it's like 43.5 or something like that. So, take that for what it's worth. Here's the thing, though. If we can talk about the Bengals for about 12 seconds. Everybody wrote them off. Oh, my God, Joe Burrow's off for 3 months. They're not going to win another game. And here they are, as you just mentioned, with the potential to be 4-4 after this week. They would have, if you would have told Zach Taylor that they'd be 4-4 8 weeks into the season and playing most of the season so far without Joe Burrow, I think he would have thanked his lucky stars. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. I'm going to lock this one in too. This is probably as close to a lock as you're going to get. I don't see the Jets in any way, shape, or form, especially with the mystery at quarterback. I don't see any way, shape, or form they go into Cincinnati and win unless they have one of those rah-rah weeks. We're going to rent it for the coach. We can't go 0-8, because if they lose this game, the rest of the schedule looks pretty daunting for them. Like you said earlier, potentially go 0-17. But I don't wish that on anybody, especially Aaron Glenn, who's a great guy. But I don't see them going into Cincinnati and win. I'm going to lock that one in.
Neither do I, my friend. All right, we're both in lockstep on that one. Next up, we have my San Francisco 49ers, who are 5-2, taking on the Houston Texans, who I told you at the beginning of the year are not going to be that good of a team. I said that they're out of the playoffs. They're not going to happen this year. Sitting there at 2-4. D'Amico Ryans going against his former team. Got to love it. San Fran got to go across the country. They have just been playing better football, and the Texans again showed last night against Seattle. They're really not that good of a football team. They had, 12 points with a couple of minutes left in the fourth quarter. I mean, garbage, man. Seattle's got a good team. They got a really good defense. I'm with all that, but San Fran is playing better football now. I'll take them on the road.
Well, and it's funny because as bad as Houston played, they still had a chance to win that game on the last possession or so of that game.
Sick,
But
right?
the thing that concerns me is that this is Vegas isn't 100% convinced because this is only a Houston 1.5, giving up 1.5.
Right.
So that's a little bit telling right there. So Vegas is not 100% confident in the Houston Texans, and this is projected to be a low scoring game. The over under on this one is 41.5. But yeah, I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go ahead and just ride this Kyle Shanahan wave until we can't ride it anymore. We're going to, return to the MAC. Give me San Francisco, and like I say, the 1.5. We might tease that a little bit if we do another like a pick show later on in the week. But that's going to be very interesting, and that line could potentially go up as the week progresses. So that's one you're going to keep an eye on if you're putting chips on this.
Yeah, right now it's basically a pick'em game. So if you like the 49ers in that one, maybe you should jump on it right now because that line could go up depending on how the betting goes. All right, moving it along. Cleveland 2-5 just put on a show against Miami. You have another AFC East team to play this week.
Said a show.
That would be the 5-2 New England Patriots. Is it a potential trap game for New England right now? I don't know. They're well coached. I don't think that they're the kind of team that says, we'll roll over this team, no problem. We'll wait till next week. That'll be a bigger game. No, New England's a really, really good team right now. They're in first place in the AFC East. But Cleveland has found a little bit of a rhythm with Dillon Gabriel. What do you make of this game?
Well, I think, first of all, this will probably be the best defense that Drake May has played so far this season. So there's that. I'm not 100% convinced that this Dillon Gabriel thing is going to last, and I don't think Vegas is either. Patriots -7, and the over-under is 40.5 on that one. So, and I'm thinking that this could potentially, if it's over, it's going to be because it's like a 31-10 type game. I don't see Cleveland, this little magic that they potentially have found with Dillon Gabriel. I don't see that lasting. So, but you talk about stuff that's, exciting if you're Cleveland. You talk about Quinshon Judkins, who came out, he's coming off a 3-touchdown game last week and actually helped carry my fantasy team. So I'm still going to take New England. As far as the -7, that line could potentially go down as the week goes on because I think they'll come to their senses and realize what we just talked about Drake May playing against a really good defense, that pass rush. So, but for now, I'll still take New England at home straight up.
You know how it goes. It depends where the money goes. Is how they do the line.
That's why, when, ladies and gentlemen, we pick these games on Tuesday. We always do the disclaimer that wait till Wednesday, Thursday rolls around, Thursday, Friday, because those lines could move all over the place.
Yeah, I like New England too. Not going to put up a big whole talk about it. New England is the better football team. I'm not going to quite lock this one in yet because Cleveland's got a great defense, and when you're playing against a great defense, you never know what can happen. But New England's got a pretty special one in themselves, so I'll take New England. Moving on. Oh, go ahead.
Well, here, real quick side note, there is value to that because if you take Cleveland to cover, it's plus 290. That's some value right there. So
that is,
take that for what it's worth right now.
When you have a really good defense, man, I mean, things can happen. Games can get changed around. We saw what happened against Green Bay earlier this year when Cleveland had him at home.
God.
So watch out. Joe Flacco in that game too. Woo, boy. All right. The Giants put a whooping on Philly a couple of weeks ago, and the Eagles have not forgotten about that Thursday night football game. Giants 2-5. It feels like they're like 4-4, but they're not. They're 2-5. And Philly is 5-2. Philly has been the better football team all year round. They showed that they can throw the ball all over the place because your boy, Saquon Barkley, is not having a really good year. And I thought that maybe he'd break 100 last week. But honestly, it starts with that offensive line, and they got a few guys out. It's been a problem. It's a good thing that Jalen Hurts really can shut the people up and go out and throw for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns and be the man because Jalen Hurts is the freaking man. There's no doubt about it. He can win in a whole lot of different ways, bro. So that's why I like Philly to win this game. Not only just revenge, but the fact that they have one of the toughest-minded winning quarterbacks in the entire league. He's not going to allow this team to lose at home. So I will take Philadelphia.
And the reason I'm laughing again is because when you speak of like players that you're like really passionate about, you can hear it in your voice. You know me, I'm kind of with Jalen Hurts, I'm kind of a take or leave, but let's look at it just 1,000-foot view. People talk about how bad Philly's playing or inconsistent, blah blah, but they're still 5-2. They're still 5-2, and that performance last week from AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, even without Barkley, who I don't think has had 100 yards from scrimmage all year, if I'm not mistaken, they're winning in spite of their MVP candidate not doing the damn thing out there on the field. So it's a -7 thing. It's a touchdown favorite. Give me Philly at home. There's no way that the Giants beat the Eagles, I'm sorry, twice in the same season.
I'd be shocked if that happened. I really would be. All right, we got another two teams that played twice in the same season. That's Tampa Bay and New Orleans. The Bucks are banged up, and the Saints ain't marching nowhere. But Tampa is 5-2.
You're on a roll with these puns, man. Did you write this shit down?
Sometimes I'll jot something down if it comes to my mind. Once in a while, I'll actually think of something. You never know. But Tampa 5-2, New Orleans 1-6. They are a bad football team. Divisional matchups are always kind of crazy, Prime. But what do you see happening in this one with Tampa being banged up? Hoping that a few guys do come back. Mike Evans is not coming back. He's probably done for the entire year. Maybe he'll come back later. But again, we just talked about Philly and Baker Mayfield and all that he can do. Spencer Rattler and Alvin Kamara are not going to get it done on the other side, I don't think.
Well, no, and it's funny you mentioned Alvin Kamara because he's another guy that's been subject of a lot of trade rumors over the last week or so, a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm trying to trade him from my fantasy team.
Yeah. The line is 4.5, so that's a little telling. That's a little telling right now, which tells me that, the Vegas has a little bit more faith in the Saints than maybe you or I do. I don't see that being a 4.5 point. I see if the Bucks win in that game by 8, 9, 10 points. So I would definitely take Tampa Bay in the points despite everything, simply because they're that much of a better football team than the Saints.
Yeah.
The Rattlesnake isn't, he's not going to be slithering doing his thing against that Tampa Bay defense. They're going to be pissed off because of the Monday night game against the Lions. They got their asses kicked. They're going to come into the Superdome, Mercedes-Benz Dome, whatever the hell it's called now, the house that Drew Brees built. And they're going to go in there and they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. This game, I've said it before about a couple other games, but this game could get really ugly. So I would take Tampa, and I would also take the points. And I think the over-under is like 46.5. You look at the point spreads this week, the over-unders, there's a common theme of like 45, 46.5 points. So Vegas is looking for this to be a pretty even week.
All right, they're like those 27-20 games, I guess.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head.
That's what they're into. Okay, all right. All right, we're both on Tampa on that one. Now we got Dallas, who's 3-1, going to Denver to play those 5-2 Broncos we talked about before. Man, me and you again. I'm going to say it again. We said Dak for MVP, 16 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, 1,900 yards so much. 106 quarterback rating, 71% completion percentage. We told you, put money on Dak because the odds were better than anybody who could possibly win it. But aside from that, us being geniuses, they are going into Denver to play the Broncos, who are a tough team. But are they tough enough, and can they withstand with that defense all that firepower Dallas has?
Oh, man, this is good. This is a game that Dallas needs. If Dallas has any hope at all of trying to keep pace with Philly and the Commanders, they need to win this football game. Plus, not only will it do a lot for their standing, but it'll do a lot for the perception that they can actually beat a good team going. However, I don't. My concern, we expressed this earlier, is Denver and their ability to score points. So here's what I'm going to do, and I can't believe I'm doing this as a Giants fan. It's only a 3.5 point spread. I'm taking Dallas. I'm taking Dallas to go into Mile High and get the upset, simply for the reason you just said. Yes, Denver's defense is great, but their offense isn't as consistent as you'd like it to be. So give me Dallas in that one. I'm going with the upset.
All right. I didn't think you were going to. I'm going with Dallas also. I think that they have enough offense to make this, a game. It might be a really close game or whatever, but Denver, they don't have that firepower. And maybe Dallas got a little something back this week on defense against the Commanders. They really held them in check. I know that Jaden Daniels had gone out and everything, but yeah, and McNaughton is saying the Cowboys the Cowboys need this win to keep pace with the Giants. To keep pace with
Thank you,
love it.
McNiner.
The
I
Giants-
appreciate that. That is funny as hell.
Oh,
He said to
man.
keep pace with the Giants, right? That's funny.
All right, both on Dallas. Next, we got Tennessee, who was 1-6. Indy was 6-1. I'm not wasting my time. This is my last lock. Indy at 6-1. That'll be my third lock, Prime.
So here's an interesting little side note. Just take a guess without looking at your computer. Take a guess at what the point spread is in this one.
Oh, it's probably around like 14 points.
It's 14 and a half.
Is that right?
1200.
Really?
Minus 1200. The over under is 46 and a half, and I think the the Colts are going to score 46 of that 46 and a half. Tennessee might get a safety or something like that in garbage time. I tune in later this week maybe, or check us out on X or LinkedIn or something like that, or maybe check Baptist's channel, see where we go with that. I'm going to leave the spread alone for now, but straight up, I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts. There's absolutely no way that the Titans win this game, and Indiana Jones and company goes to 7-1. And by the way, on a side note,
Wow.
Indianapolis Colts, Daniel Jones has scored more points in his first 7 games as an Indianapolis Colts than any other Colt quarterback in franchise history other than Johnny Unitas. Insane.
That's amazing. More than Peyton Manning. Who would
Crack
ever
that
believe?
whip, baby. Indiana Jones.
Unreal
Oh
stuff,
my
man.
God, I can't believe I'm saying that.
Jones, crazy. All right, we got a couple more left. We got Sunday Night Football, Green Bay, who was 4-1-1 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Aaron Rodgers hosting his old team in Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football. They're 4-2. Aaron Rodgers is so old that I don't know, maybe he'll just like throw it to the Packers and forget what team he's on for a couple of minutes. Who knows what's gonna happen? I don't know. But this should be an interesting game over here. I think this is a really good game to tell us what each team is really made of, front.
Yep. I agree with you 240,000%. Absolutely. So much so that this is only a 3.5 point game. I'm torn right now, Prophet. I'm torn. And Chad, I would love to see what you guys think. I'm torn in this game. My heart says to go with Pittsburgh because they're at home, and I think they have a slightly better defense. But my head says that I just don't think that the Steelers have enough offense to be able to keep up potentially with what Green Bay could potentially bring to the table with your boy Josh Jacobs.
Yes.
So I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna take the Packers in this game, man.
Okay. All right.
Packers.
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm taking the pack, and it's because of the guy you just said, Josh Jacobs. I think that they will control the game. They'll run the ball. They haven't. I mean, look, they love to throw the ball downfield. Green Bay, they can get PIs, left and right. But it is Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay, and you would think that they would be playing better quarterback positions, but they're not. They're getting penalized. They're getting beat. And maybe they are a little bit older than, some of these younger guys that are trying to show off and do their thing. But it really hasn't been working out. So I'm going to go with Green Bay as well on that Sunday Night Football game. And to close out our picks for Week 8, we have Washington at Kansas City. And that's another one I'm going to brag about. I told you Washington was not going to be world beaters this year. I said they're going to miss the playoffs as well. Will they? I don't know. Remains to be seen. But they're only 3-4 right now. Kansas City 4-3. Monday Night Football, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the Chiefs on this one. And by the way, it's a very interesting spread. They got Kansas City minus 10.5 in this one.
10.5?
Minus 10.5. Minus 10.5, Chad. Can you believe that? So I don't know about the spread, but straight up, I'm going to go with Mahomes and company. They keep the ball rolling because this is a game that they could potentially, and we talked about the Dallas-Denver game earlier. This is a game where if Kansas City wins this, they're 5-3 and they're tied with the Broncos for the division lead. So, going into basically what amounts to about the halfway point of the season. So you got, you'll have two teams potentially going in two different directions. Washington, you did call it at the beginning of the season. I thought that they wouldn't fall off that much. But they've had a lot of injuries. Terry McLaurin's been hurt. Debo's been hurt. So their two biggest offensive weapons haven't played a full season to this point. But I don't think any of that matters. I think just the way that the Chiefs are playing right now, Andy Reid's on a roll as far as calling plays, and it seems like everything that they're doing, and they have your boy back, Rashee Rice.
Yep, they're clicking on all cylinders right now. They are smooth as a freaking brand new vet, baby. They are rolling. I'm with Kansas City as well. Take them on Monday Night Football to beat the Commanders, who will fall to now 3-5 and make things very, very interesting. All right. What was interesting is that we both had incredible weeks last week picking our freaky fantasy football draft. Again, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense. Can't use the same player once you use him once this whole entire year. But the game was close. I had 89 points, which is a lot. But you had 100 on the dot, man. 100 to 89. So well done out of you, bro.
JSN.
Well, JSN, huge day. I had McCaffrey. He got me like 40 points. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm in it. But no, just some of the other players. Let me see if I have it right here real quick, because you picked a really good team. Yeah, well, you had Darnold, JSN, Jonathan Taylor, Trey McBride in Denver. I had the Chiefs defense who pitched a shutout. Tucker Kraft, McCaffrey, Metcalf, and Caleb Williams. While Chicago dominated the game, he didn't throw any touchdowns, so that did not work out for me well, which means that you, my friend, get the first pick. The bye weeks this week are Arizona, Detroit, Jacksonville, Las Vegas Raiders, LA Rams, and the Seattle Seahawks, all on buys this week. So we have 6 teams that we can't pick from. So it's going to be a little bit thinner, my friend, but you do get the first pick. So you can go any direction you want: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense. What do you do?
Well, I'm going to hear, and this is kind of, I'm going to stick with the, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals defense against the New York Jets. That's almost cheating, but I'm gonna do it.
That's funny. That's funny. All right, so yeah, look, my first pick last week was the Chiefs, and they killed it. So why not? Not bad.
Taking a page out of your book.
There you go. All right, well, give me. This seems like a really good week to start Daniel Jones, so I'm going to start him because Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns last week. So I would think that, you're right about that. Daniel Jones going to come in, do a little something. And for my next pick, I'm going to pair him with Michael Pittman.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to see how that works out against Tennessee, if they can put up some big numbers for me. So I got my quarterback and receiver. You have your defense, and now you get 2 picks.
Yeah, my formula last week was to pick Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba, so that kind of worked out for me. So
it worked.
Oh, Jesus. Well, the quarterback, because I'm running kind of thin here, I'm going to take for my running back, and this is actually no. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ride the hot hand, and I haven't picked him yet, but he did a hell of high things for me this week in fantasy. So for my running back, I'm going to go Quinshon Judkins.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I like the pick. I like it. All right, and now you got one more.
And for my wide receiver, I'm going to go big on this one. I'm going to go Jamar Chase against the New York Jets.
Pretty good pick right there, man. Ooh, you got a scary team going on so far. A little frightened. Halloween is coming around the corner, so you're trying to scare the shit out of me a little bit. I see what's going on. All right. All right, let's go to our next one over here. I think that, let me see. Atlanta against Miami.
Uh-oh.
Give me Kyle Pitts.
Oh, actually. Wow. It's another one of my fantasy guys, along with Pittman. He hasn't done shit, by the way. And I'm sorry for swearing. Kyle, what the hell, man? That guy is too talented to not be a factor in that offense.
I know. I think maybe against Miami this week he is a factor somehow. I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe not. We'll find out. And in that same game, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay away from that. I will go with... I don't want to mess around too much. Give me Chase Brown, running back for the Bengals.
Ooh.
I will take him going up against that Jets defense. So
All right,
I got
yeah.
one pick left, but not after you do your last two. So you need quarterback and tight end.
Oh man! So for my tight end, I'm going to go. You know what? Let's do it. I'm gonna go with your guy. I'm gonna go with George Kittle.
Okay, well, he better do something because he got me 0 freaking fantasy points last week. So
Which
he
is
better wake
exactly
up.
why I'm thinking, he's the middle of that defense in Houston is usually pretty suspect. So unless Will Anderson and Stingley and those guys, Daniil Hunter have a big day, your boy Mac Jones could be, he could have another really good day. And
Yeah.
for my quarterback, I am going to go. You know what? Again, as a Giants fan, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going Jalen Hurts, baby.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's a great pick.
And I'm going Jalen
Can't
Hurts.
hurt.
Oh, man, look at you.
Killing it today, huh?
Ladies and gentlemen, this has to be a record for puns on this show. Profit is on. Was that like 10 during the show so far? Go back and rewatch this and count the puns and send us an email. Tell us. We'll send you like a $10 gift card if you get the number correct. It's insane. Can't hurt. Hey, you snuck that one in too. You kind of did that on the sly. That's funny as hell.
Let me just do this. If he hears it, he hears it. If not, if not. All right, I got to go. Yeah.
So you have Chase Brown. You got Chase Brown. You got Kyle Pitts at your tight end. You got Michael Pittman at your wide receiver. Got Daniel Indiana Jones. Oh, you still got another pick.
Yep, I got my defense, and
absolutely.
I think because they're going up against the Houston Texans, I'm going to take my 49ers. How about that? 49ers defense. Make some big plays for me in Houston this week. All right, so I got, like you said, Daniel Jones, Chase Brown, Michael Pittman, Kyle Pitts Sr. the third, then the 49ers defense. I am definitely afraid of your lineup this week. You got a really good lineup in there. You got Jalen Hurts, Quinshon Judkins, Jamar Chase, George Kittle, and the Bengals defense against the New York Jets. I like your team a lot, man. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, yours is if Pitts does anything for you, this is gonna be a close week. It's gonna be a real close week.
I'm thinking against Miami's defense, like shoot, I was gonna take Bijan Robinson, but I can really he's good against anybody. I don't have to play him against Miami and just waste that. Bijan is phenomenal. What a phenomenal player he is. And they got the makeup on offense, Atlanta. It's just that
they do.
I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's Michael Penix not being fully there yet. And I totally get it. It's only his sophomore year. And he didn't even play the first full season. He played only, 6 games, I think, or something like that?
Right, 6 or 7 games, yeah.
So he definitely needs more time to develop. And Bijan Robinson is really single-handedly keeping this team in games. Really, no shit.
So absolutely. So real quick, go over your locks, your 3 locks for the NFL picks this week.
All right. Well, speaking of Atlanta, I got them locked over Miami. I got the Bengals locked over the Jets and Indy locked over Tennessee. My locks have been really coming in real well. So listen tight. Listen up.
So my locks are Atlanta over Miami. I got Buffalo over Carolina, and I got the Bengals over the Jets. So
we agree on 2 of them. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones that could have been, but this is kind of a weird week. This is as we get over the halfway point, we start to get to this point of the season. This is where a lot of teams are really taking shape. So be careful when you're out there putting chips on these games, because some of these teams, either start to maybe have that that loss that they probably shouldn't have, or that win that they shouldn't have. So just kind of be on the lookout when you're out here putting chips on these
yes picks. Stay away from over-unders too. They're the hugest killer in the entire world,
especially this time of year. Beginning of the year and the end of the year, over-unders are really good, but the middle of the year, just based on my experience, the middle 3-4 games of the season can really come back and bite you in the ass if you're not careful.
You got that right, man, no doubt. Well, hey, look, we did our hour and 14 minutes and counting a little bit. Not too bad. Last week, I think we did like $1.50. So, all right, we stayed on track, man. Not bad. And I had a great time as Mr. Primetime 313. Can't do this without you, bro. I really appreciate it, my friend.
Same here, man. I love doing the show every week. Thanks to the Chad McNiner. Thanks to Stevo Supremo. Jason Ortiz. Um, just thank you guys each and every week for coming out, checking us out. And Jason Ortiz, I wish you the best on these massive trades that you're trying to make in your fantasy league. But yeah, Prophet and I will probably be maybe at the end of the week. We'll kick some stuff around. Maybe we'll do a pick show on Friday night, or we may do or Thursday night, maybe depending on what's going on. But yeah. By the way, this is if you're an NBA fan, NBA tips off tonight. So they got a few good games going on, including Lakers Warriors tonight at 10:30. So. As you tune us in, make sure you subscribe, like, follow, all that other good stuff, and make sure you keep track of us on social media. Power of 32 podcast, baby.
That's right. He's David Dale, Mr. Primetime 313. I'm Jason Fearman at Sports Prophet 1 on Twitter. Hit us up, guys. Have fun. Get in the chat. We appreciate you all that do. You make the show go and flow, and it's better for Mo, baby. So we'll be back next week, Mr. Primetime, my friend. Thank you very much. Had a great time. NFL football for an hour plus. I'll do it any damn day of the week, man.
Absolutely, man. I love doing the show with you.
All right. We'll be back again next week, guys. See you. Peace.
Peace.